Howdy, y'all. So, reading mastery, and what I just went over was they were talking about how masters maintain a sizable portion of their childhood spirit, and despite the pressures and demands of adulthood. And there's a lot of things in this book that, like, or in any writing, that I was like, wow, I never thought of it that way. And I'm being, introduced to these new ideas and ways of thinking. But it's every now and again I come across something that I find that I'm already doing. One of those being, like, I'm reading Atomic Habits right now from my coworker. She introduced me to it, and like just making small differences in your day, like little 1% here and there. And then another thing is what this just said, maintaining that childhood spirit. And essentially how it said, hopefully I don't butcher this too much, but the original mind is like what we all started off with. Like it's an undisciplined mind, but it's open and free when we're children. And then as you get older, well, the pressure from being an adult, you kind of fall into more of a conventional mind, which essentially destroys your creativity. But then there's also those that are masters that maintain their childhood spirit, and they also combine that with discipline, and those are the dimensional mind. And as I'm sitting here reading this now, it's he describes it as the dimensional mind has two essential requirements: one, a high level of knowledge about a subject or field, and two, the openness and flexibility to use this knowledge in new and original ways. And I would say, like, I definitely have that unlocked. Like, that's constantly how I think, constantly how I go about things, constantly how I engage with things. And it's interesting because, like, I've never heard it put into words before. I don't know where I'm going with this exactly, but like I've never heard it put into words. And I've always had so many people, like, I've worked with being like, how old are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm 34. And they're like, you don't seem like you're 34. And it's like, you seem like you're younger, maybe like 25, 26, 27. And it's like, yeah, well, I don't know. And I remember thinking, like, and I think what made me want to start this video is I remember being in kindergarten, and I had this teacher, I think her name was Miss Sullivan. This bitch, all right. And I remember two big things about her. And number one, I remember her saying that we were all acting like babies, in kindergarten. Oh, you guys are acting like babies. You guys are acting like babies. And number two, she said, which isn't so related, but I wasn't living with my mom at the time, and so she made a point to point out that I only had a guardian, that I didn't have a mom or a dad, and she was just a fucking cunt. And it was in that, like, me realizing, I was like, that's not very fucking nice to say. And I knew that back then. I was in kindergarten, I'm like 5 years old, and I remember thinking, I was like, this bitch is just trying to fucking, like, control me, like, just fucking, like, put me in a box. And I was like, fuck this bitch. So I rebelled against her, and then what really cemented that as I got older, because like, I realized that, like, this bitch was just trying to temper me down, trying to put me into this box, trying to get me to, like, comply and whatnot. And then what really cemented that as I got older is every grade from there on, for about 2 to 3 years, they would say, so I got the first grade, and then they're like, oh, well, you're acting like kindergartners. Then I got the second grade, and they're like, well, you're acting like first graders. And it's like they were all just trying to clip my wings, more or less. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they were like, I had like this creative process. I was childlike, I was free, I was open-minded, and these people were constantly trying to take that away from me, or, like I said, temper it down. So and it's crazy that I've maintained that to this day. Like I refuse to let people take that from me. Whether it's me going to jail, or relationships, or jobs, or whatever, parents, peers, whoever, however, family. Like, no, that's mine. Like, I refuse to let anyone take that from me. I just no, fuck that. And but it's crazy, like, and I always notice, it's crazy to me on how young of an age I picked up on that, like they're trying to take that from me. And I read it in this book, and it's like, yeah, that's what people do. And like, I don't know, I'm just still so baffled that I was in kindergarten. I mean, I just still remember it back to those days. And I'm painting the picture. I'm just going through like what it looked like back there, like the portables, just all this shit, and it's just a trip to me. Sitting here thinking about it. And I guess I'm just wondering, like, so with this book, like, I think the next processes that I'm looking to read upon, I hope it will help me how to implement it in the real world, instead of just me being like foolish with it. And because normally, like, I'll know, like, I'll use it like when I'm like attacking someone, or fucking like trolling or whatever, and it's like it could be more focused, it could be more constructive. I guess that's what I want. I want to be more constructive with my childlike spirit, instead of just using it as a way to rebel. Because like, use it as a way to rebel, well, then it's easy to label it as a bad thing, so I was like, there's got to be a constructive way to do it. And it just I think that's what I want to do with like stand-up comedy, is like, but like I think that's what's like holding me back, because it just feels so weird, because my whole life I have tapped in and I've used my childlike spirit, and it's always been shunned and shamed. And for me to actually like do something positive with it is actually it feels weird, it feels funny, it feels do I dare say unnatural, but it doesn't. I don't know, that's the thing, because like as soon as I do it, and like I have like a little, because I've been up on stage 4 times now, and it's like 2 times I've walked off and I got some chuckles and stuff, and I got a positive feedback. Like, that almost makes me more uncomfortable, because I'm not used to it. Like, I'm used to people like groaning or sighing or whatever, and then I would lean into it more, and I'm like, all right, fuck, that's pissing you off, fine, I'm gonna fucking do it more, and like that would give me more fuel. So it's weird to find like to use like an alternative fuel source, and switching over to that, and using positivity to push me into doing it more. That's weird to me, and I wonder if like that's where my hang up is, or at least one of them. It's crazy because he's talking about Mozart. And like, as a child, he was able to like, discover and even dabble in his, his profession, and I use that word in terms of, what he's naturally gifted at. Okay. But then his dad tried to monetize him. Well, did monetize him, and then that's where he started losing, his love for it. And it was once he was free from his family and all those, financial responsibilities that he was actually able to be his full creative self and to tap into his full potential. And I see that in the same sense. Like, I've had ex-girlfriends, ex-wife, significant others, where they're like, Nick, you're so funny. You could be so funny. It's like, well, and they say, to be funny is so you can make that money. And I was like, it's gross. Like, that's not what I'm doing it for. Like, sure, of course, everyone like to make money and it's whatever and make a living off of it. But that's not what drives me. In this book, really solidifies that. Like, you get these people that don't understand. They're like, oh, you can make a lot of money off of it, so do that. And it's like, that actually hinders it. That actually dampens the ability to thrive in it. And it's, do I dare say, self-defeating. So I sit here and I read this book and I'm like, yeah, nope, that's it. And I guess in conclusion, I'll wrap this up. In conclusion, I'm sitting here and I'm realizing exactly what I have done naturally without any guidance or any motivation or any hand holding, whatever you want to call it, up until this point. I'm 34 years of age. Part of me really feels like a late bloomer, but then another part of me is like, no, I just had to go through these experiences. I just had to live this life to be able to get to where I'm at and have this framework put in place before I could, start building, I guess. I don't know. It's interesting. It's all very, very interesting now that I look back at it and I really look at it and I see it for, what it is. And I'm just happy to know that, again, there's things that I've just naturally done and these pitfalls that I have avoided and maintain that that number one thing that is so important, and that being, as he describes, the dimensional mind.